Thank you for joining me tonight. This is my second attempt to record this video. I apparently did not hit record the first time and got halfway through all of this and then realized that it wasn't recording. So, yay me. I've been wanting to share this deck for a while, and I really need to actually start using it more often, or at least pulling like a card a day from this one. It's called Our Tarot, and it's a guidebook and deck featuring notable women in history. And I can tell you right now that I don't know half of these women who they are, but I want to learn because some of them I think probably have amazing stories. So, and we're probably going to read a few of the stories for some of the cards, just to see if they match up with what the meaning of the card is, in the general sense of tarot. So it comes with a guidebook, and it comes with a huge, look at that, look how thick that thing is, with color pictures in it and stories about all the women. So this is fantastic. And this is the deck. Put that there, put that there. And we can go through these, just looking through them. Sophie Skoll. I don't know who she is. I'm just going to say the names. I don't know who half of them are. Henriette Delille. Sophia Tulip Singh. Anne Sullivan. Mary Lou Williams. Joanna of Castile. I'm actually going to read this one. The Nine of Swords is the nightmare card. So let's find out just how nightmarish this poor woman's life was. Where are we at? Wands. I need swords. Is this all wands? Okay. Okay, here we go. Swords. We're looking for Nine of Swords. Okay, next one over. Okay. Joanna of Castile, 1479 to 1555, Spain. Key aspects: upright, anxiety, nightmares, slander, insomnia, reversed, resolved pain, improved sleep, emotional stability. Okay. As the third child and second daughter of monarchs Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabella I of Castile, Joanna of Castile was not expected to inherit either of her parents' kingdoms, but to make an excellent match to a foreign ruler. Like her younger sister, Catherine of Aragon, Joanna was tutored in a wide array of subjects, including classical Greek and Roman philosophy, Latin, theology, music, and dance. She learned quickly and was a voracious reader of classical literature, having access to her mother's extensive library. In October 1496, 17-year-old Joanna married Philip the Handsome, Archduke of the House of Habsburg of Flanders, the son of Maximilian I, the Holy Roman Emperor. This event was momentous for both kingdoms as it bolstered their power against France, their common enemy. Joanna settled into her new life in Flanders, and by 1498 had given birth to the first of her 6 children. Nonetheless, the marriage was a deeply unhappy one, as Casey Titus writes for the History Is Now website. Perhaps the most severe and heartbreaking stress she suffered was her husband's rampant infidelity. He indulged in feasting, drinking, and taking mistresses. In an era where the women were expected to turn a blind eye to their husband's philandering ways, destructive, to the point where the impatient Philip ordered Joanna's treasurer to keep a detailed diary of her actions. This was then sent to her parents, which further humiliated Joanna and distressed her mother Isabella. But fate brought a strange turn of events. Following the deaths of those ahead of her in the order of succession to the throne, her brother John, Prince of Asturias, her elder sister Isabella, her nephew Miguel, Joanna, became heir presumptive to the crowns of Castile and Aragon. When her mother, Queen Isabella I of Castile, died in 1504, Joanna became queen. According to Isabella I's will and their prenuptial agreement, Ferdinand was to lose his monarchical status in Castile upon her death, demoted to rule Aragon only unless Joanna was unfit to rule. Oh, I can see where this is headed. The Castilian territory was vast in comparison to Aragon, covering much of modern-day Spain. Ferdinand minted coins that featured his and his daughter's likenesses, declaring them king and queen. Similarly, Philip wanted more power and land for himself, and in retaliation for Ferdinand's attempts to reinstate himself as Castile's king, had his own coins minted. Both men tried to convince Joanna to hand over the rulership to them, and Ferdinand even threatened to publicly reveal the embarrassing contents of her treasurer's diary from Flanders, hoping to make her look like a madwoman to all of Spain. This is pissing me off. Both men fabricated rumors hinting that Joanna's intense outbursts in response to her husband's affairs indicated that she was mad or mentally unstable in an effort to edge her off the throne. Without consulting her, because, why would they? The men used a mediator to draft a written agreement declaring Joanna incapable of ruling, and control of Castile was granted to Philip. When Philip died suddenly of fever in 1506, karma's a bitch, ain't it? Having firmly destroyed Joanna's reputation as a competent monarch, Ferdinand kept up his domination by making sure his daughter was queen of her mother's kingdom in name only. When his second marriage to German Princess Elizabeth of Swabia produced no male heirs, he named Joanna's son Charles as his heir, and confined Joanna to the convent of Santa Clara in the city of Tordesillas in 1509. When Ferdinand died in 1519, Joanna inherited the kingdom of Aragon, but her son Charles V refused to release his mother from confinement or to allow her any visitors, and ruled in her stead. Wow, even the boy. He kept her sequestered at the convent until her death. God, men sucked back then. Joanna of Castile lived a life of enduring anxiety and melancholy, triggered by the betrayals of the men who were closest to her, her father and her husband. The Nine of Swords represents a nightmarish feeling or situation in which pain is caused by lies. This card suggests that you may be experiencing inner turmoil because of your own fears, insecurities, and traumas. You may be worried about a problem that feels as confusing as it is urgent. When the Nine of Swords appears in your reading, consider whether you are jumping to negative conclusions about a given issue, and if so, are there people in your life echoing those hurtful sentiments? Rather than helping or encouraging you, who can you talk to instead? Who will help you? How can you make an incremental shift toward thinking more positively? Wow. That poor woman. I'm depressed now. Alright, we got Josephine Baker. Huda Sha'arawi. I'm sure I butchered that. Emily Dickinson. How about that? The Hermit. I almost want to read that one, but I want to read about someone that I don't know. Harriet Tubman. Octavia Butler, Elizabeth I, Wallace Simpson, Sarah Breedlove, Bessie Coleman, oh look, Florence Nightingale, that's cool, Wangari Muta Maathai. Okay, this is the Ten of... I want to read this one too. This is the Ten of Cups. It's supposed to be a really good card, I think. Or do I want to do Nine of Cups? No, let's do... Oh, look. The Fool is Joan of Arc. Now that. Okay, let's do Ten of Cups. I don't know who this is. Okay, Cups must be the first one. Okay. Ten of Cups. Oh, Wangari Maathai. From 1940 to 2011, Kenya. Key aspects: upright, paradise, compassion, growth, kindness. Reversed, disconnection, neglect, disrespect. On June 5th, 1977, members of the National Council of Women in Kenya marched from downtown Nairobi to just outside the city. Upon reaching their destination, they planted 7 tree seedlings, each about a foot tall. This event marked the launch of an environmental organization called the Green Belt Movement, founded by NCWK member, scientist, and the first woman in the East Africa to earn a doctorate degree. Wow. Wangari Muta Maathai. Since then, the organization has planted more than 51 million trees. Wow. Okay, I love this woman. By the mid-1970s, Wangari had begun to notice the environmental factors contributing to the overall decline of Kenya's ecosystem. Industrial and agricultural development had caused the destruction of natural watersheds and created desert landscapes where there had once been streams of water. In a 2005 article for Yes magazine, Mia McDonnell recounts what precipitated the beginnings of Wangari's activism. Maathai began making connections others hadn't. Listening to the women talk about water, about energy, about nutrition, it all boiled down to the environment, she said. I came to understand the linkage between environmental degradation and the felt needs of the communities. In 1977, Wangari was serving as the chair of the Department of Veterinary Anatomy at the University of Nairobi when she established the Green Belt Movement. The organization recruited and empowered rural Kenyan women to plant trees in their communities. In her memoir, Unbowed, Wangari explained all they needed to know was how to put the seedlings in the soil and help it grow. Dig a hole, put a tree in, water it, and nurture it. In any case, these women were farmers. The Green Belt Movement offered a small financial incentive to women who successfully planted trees in their communities. In addition to providing income to Kenyan women, the trees were planted strategically to restore and protect natural watersheds. In 1981, the UN Development Fund for Women awarded the Green Belt Movement a grant that funded the organization's growth. Many tree nurseries were established to cultivate thousands of seedlings. In 1986, the organization expanded its programming beyond Kenya by launching the Pan-African Green Belt Network to provide tree planting resources to environmentalist groups in East Africa. harshly criticized by Kenyan President Daniel Arap Moi, who called Wangari and the Greenbelt movement subversive. I'm sorry, an organization that plants trees is subversive. What the actual beep? In 1991, the organization led a protest against a government-backed plan to build a skyscraper in Nairobi's Uhuru Park. The protest worked, and the plans to destroy the park were abandoned. However, protesters were subjected to violence at the hands of police and government-hired thugs. In fact, Wangari was beaten by police officers until she was unconscious. In 1992, Kenya's parliament legalized opposition parties, destabilizing the consolidated power of Moi's regime. Good. In 2002, Wangari ran for parliament as part of a coalition of all the opposition parties. Her election contributed to the end of the Kenyan African National Union's 40-year-long rule over the government of Kenya. The next year, she was appointed assistant minister in the Ministry for Environment and Natural Resources. On October 8, 2004, she won the Nobel Peace Prize, making her the first African woman to become a Nobel laureate. 2 months later, she received the prize and delivered a lecture at Oslo City Hall about the participants of the Greenbelt movement. She said, "Through their involvement, women realize their hidden potential and are empowered to overcome inertia and take action." She continued, "We are called to assist the earth to heal her wounds and in the process heal our own." Seriously, this woman, oh my God. This will happen if we see the need to revive our sense of belonging to a larger family of life with which we have shared our evolutionary process. There comes a time when humanity is called to shift to a new level of consciousness, to reach a higher moral ground, a time when we have to shed our fear and give hope to each other. This woman is a saint. Wangari Maathai dedicated her life to creating a better quality of life and healthier natural environment, not only for Kenya, but also for the entire planet. The Ten of Cups symbolizes the fulfillment of living in peaceful communion with your surroundings. This card signifies an end to difficult times and an abundance of love. You may feel especially connected to your friends and family. Your positive feelings for them are likely reciprocated and you feel supported. The Ten of Cups represents the ideal environment you subconsciously yearn to live in. This card's appearance in your reading affirms that it is now more possible than ever to make that environment a reality. Consider how you might use this energy to make your life a little more idyllic. What service can you provide? What natural resources can you protect? What opportunities are there for you to improve yourself and your community? And what would an improved life look like for you and those dear to you? What accomplishments of yours have already made the world a better place? My goodness. Okay, I've definitely got to start doing this every day. These women are incredible. Murasaki Shikibu, Marsha P. Johnson, Corazon Aquino, Anne Frank, of course, the guiding light, the star. The Emperor is Victoria, Lupe Velez, Kailuani, Eleanor Roosevelt, Lucrezia Borgia, Khadijah, Clelia Mosher, Isabella Stewart Gardner, Nellie Bly, Gladys Bentley, Phyllis Wheatley, Frida Kahlo, Catherine of Aragon. Now she's in relation. Maybe the sister of the first one, Joanne of Castile. Pearl Primus, Charlotte, Emily, and Anne Bronte. Oh, that's cool that they put them all together for the Three of Cups. I love that. Julian of Norwich, Eloisa Diaz, Eleanor of Aquitaine, Lozin, Katie Senduina, Mary Shelley. Oh, excuse me. Mary Shelley is the moon. Helen Keller. Carrie A. Nation. Ada Lovelace. She must have been very generous. Hildegard of Bingen, or Bingen, not sure. Marie Curie. Oh, she was a magician now, wasn't she? The Devil, Abigail Williams. I might need to just look at that one. Should be right before this one. Yep, nope. I'm just going to read a little bit about this. She was from 1680 to 1697. Oh, wow. So she was only like 17, is that right? Deception, addiction, malice, obsession. Orphaned as a young child, Abigail Williams lived with her uncle Samuel Parris, the son of a London cloth merchant and a merchant himself, and his wife and family. In 1686, Parris, who had been dissatisfied with his vocation, began to pursue a career as a Puritan minister. Within 3 years, the Parris household had moved to Salem Village, Massachusetts. Oh, Abigail. Okay, I think I recognize the name now. Where he began to serve as the town's first ordained minister. Salem Village had a reputation for contentiousness. 3 ministers had preceded Parris, and all had left because of disputes with the congregation. Parris was a domineering traditionalist, emphasizing baptism and giving giving voice to having experienced God's grace among his flock. Initially, this approach served him well, for church members felt compliance elevated their social status. But several non-members who happened to be influential in the Salem community supported less rigid standards. Parris's obsessive manner and the conflict within the community itself over his views and behavior began to diminish his popularity and were soon joined by other conflicts. A dispute occurred between Parris and the church council over whether he owned the parsonage and land outright or only for as long as he served as minister. This and his plans to renovate the meeting house at potentially high costs brought Salem Village to a low boil. Oh boy. In January 1692, Abigail and her cousin Elizabeth became sick with a strange illness. I thought I recognized this. Both girls seemed to be preoccupied, having become forgetful and distracted, when they began to behave strangely, barking when Paris scolded them. Among other behavior, Paris tried prayer, but to no end. The girls' behavior only worsened. They contorted their bodies, rambled incoherently, and had fits. Paris consulted other ministers, which didn't help the situation either. Finally, he called William Griggs, a local doctor. When Griggs couldn't find evidence of a physical ailment, he suggested the girls' illness was the result of witchcraft. Paris then tried to help them through organized prayer meetings and days of fasting. Nothing worked, and worse, their behavior catalyzed similar behavior in other girls. Okay, I know who she is now. Okay. I know in March, the citizens of Salem subjected the girls to intense questioning about their perpetrator, perhaps fearing punishment if they did not name someone. Abigail and Elizabeth named Tituba, one of the family slaves, saying she practiced witchcraft. In the ensuing centuries, the narrative of Tituba introduced the girls to pagan rituals. In the ensuing centuries, the narrative of Tituba introducing the girls to pagan rituals was often regarded as true, despite a lack of evidence in contemporary records. Tituba was questioned relentlessly until she confessed to being a witch, although a study of the trial records shows clearly that her confession was coerced. Along with the girls, Tituba then accused Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne, women of low social standing, who were already widely disliked. Though there were several girls participating in these accusations, historians point to Abigail as the ringleader, with the other girls taking cues from her behavior. In March, while accused citizen Martha Corey was being interrogated, Abigail suggested Corey had nefarious connections when she exclaimed, "There is a black man whispering in her ear." In her book, In the Devil's Snare, Mary Beth Norton notes that in 17th century New England, both Native Americans and demonic figures were described as black. The association among Indians, black men, and the devil would have been unremarkable to anyone in the Salem Village meeting house. Abigail Williams' words linked invisible words, implying the existence of an alliance between Satan and the local Native American communities. After this incident, other girls and even some of the accused also made reference to a black man influencing them to commit, and that's in quotations, to commit evil deeds. Abigail's motivations for speaking as she did are uncertain. The end result, mass hysteria, was not. Okay, Abigail's motivations were she was attention-seeking. Let's just... And a drama queen. I'm sorry. Drama queen. Yeah, okay. I'm tired of reading about her. But she is a notable woman of history. Okay. Edmunia Lewis, Elsa von Freytag, Loringhoven. Look at her. Anne Boleyn. Lyudmila Pavlichenko. Audrey Munson. Eloise Darshentwill. She almost looks like the images of the Virgin Mary, doesn't she? I should probably read about her to see if that is where she came from. Boudica. Yes. Sora Neale Hurston, Hypatia, Lady Eleanor Butler and Sarah Ponsonby, Cleopatra, Sophie Daidar, Jane Austen, Ida B. Wells, Beatrix Potter, Sojourner Truth, Georgiana Spencer Cavendish, Jane Addams and Ellen Gates Starr, Sarah Grimke and Angelina Grimke, Benazir Bhutto, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Wu Zetian, Nefertari, and Dorothea Dix. Anyway, that's all for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll put a link to this tarot deck in the description. So that if you're interested in getting it, you can. It's definitely a pretty interesting and informative deck. It's one of the more informative. This is one of the few decks that I didn't get just for the artwork. I got it because it was so different and real people. It has real people relating to the symbolism in the cards. So it seems to me like a lot of thought. I think a lot of thought goes into most tarot decks, but this one in particular seems seriously. Anyway, that's all for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys all have sweet dreams tonight and every night. And I hope that 2023 treats you well.